Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The San Francisco 49ers woke up to nightmare news that shook the entire NFL landscape. Star edge rusher Nick Bosa, the defensive centerpiece of one of the league's most feared units, has been ruled out for the rest of the season with a devastating injury. For a team built around suffocating opposing quarterbacks and thriving off defensive pressure, losing Bosa isn't just losing a player, it's losing an identity. The 49ers defense has long prided itself on collapsing pockets and forcing offenses into panic mode, and that mission suddenly feels vulnerable without the reigning defensive player of the year. San Francisco has no choice but to pivot, and that urgency leads us straight into the possibility of a blockbuster move. If you're talking about plugging a hole left by someone like Bosa, you can't think small, you have to swing big. And that's where Miami Dolphins pass rusher Jaelan Phillips enters the conversation as the dream target. Phillips, a former first-round pick, isn't just good, he's electric. At just 25 years old, he's already flashed the rare blend of speed, bend, and relentless motor that defines the league's elite edge rushers. He's not yet in the conversation with Bosa, Myles Garrett, or Micah Parsons, but the talent ceiling is there, and the trajectory points straight up. For the 49ers, plugging Phillips into their defensive line would soften the blow of losing Bosa more than any other available player possibly could. He brings explosiveness off the edge, a hunger to prove himself, and the kind of presence that forces offensive coordinators to adjust their blocking schemes. Suddenly, instead of seeing defenses sliding protection away from Bosa's side, they'd once again have to respect the 49ers' edge and interior dominance. Think about the fit for a second. The 49ers' defensive front is still stacked with talent. Javon Hargrave is a menace in the middle. Arik Armstead remains one of the most underrated defensive linemen in football. Add Jaelan Phillips to that mix, and San Francisco recreates the chaos factor that made them a nightmare for quarterbacks over the past few seasons. Defensive coordinator Steve Wilks thrives on attacking fronts, and Phillips has the versatility to line up wide, crash inside, or stun across formations, giving San Francisco a chess piece to throw at opposing offenses. It's not about replacing Bosa perfectly. No one can do that. It's about mitigating the loss in a way that keeps the 49ers in the Super Bowl chase. Phillips can absolutely do that. What makes this even more fascinating is the timing and the dynamics on Miami's side. The Dolphins, while one of the AFC's most exciting teams, aren't sitting on a treasure chest of draft capital. They've invested heavily in their roster. Extensions, trades, and mega deals have left them thin in future flexibility. TYREEK Hill is on a massive contract. Bradley Chubb, the other half of their edge duo, already commands significant money. Jalen Ramsey isn't cheap either, and looming on the horizon are extensions for Jalen Waddle and potentially a franchise-defining decision with Tua Tagovailoa. Something has to give, and as painful as it might be, Jaelan Phillips represents a player who could bring back premium value while giving Miami breathing room to build sustainably. Trading Phillips would not be a decision the Dolphins make lightly. He's young, still on his rookie deal, and has already proven capable of wrecking games. But when teams face roster squeezes, tough calls become unavoidable. The question for Miami's front office becomes this: do you cash in on Phillips now, while his value is sky high and before an extension becomes a cap-busting necessity, or do you hold on to him and risk roster imbalance down the line? That's where San Francisco comes in, dangling the kind of offer that forces a conversation. The proposed trade package feels almost inevitable in its balance. The 49ers send Miami a 2026 first-round pick, a 2027 third-rounder, and young edge rusher Drake Jackson. That's not a throwaway offer. A future first gives Miami a premium asset to reset their draft coffers. The third-round pick provides mid-round flexibility, the kind of pick that allows teams to maneuver up or down the board. And Drake Jackson? He's a raw but intriguing prospect who has flashed at times, but hasn't cemented his role in San Francisco's deep rotation. In Miami, with more snaps and developmental attention, Jackson could grow into a meaningful contributor, all while being cost-controlled on his rookie deal. For Miami, the offer answers a pressing question. How do you compete now while still maintaining flexibility for the future? The Dolphins are already a contender in the AFC, and even without Phillips, They have the pieces to win games behind a high-octane offense and a defense headlined by stars. The addition of draft capital ensures they're not mortgaging the future for the present. For San Francisco, the calculus is different. They're not building for 2026. They're building for right now. Their championship window is wide open, with a roster that's been carefully constructed and a core that is in its prime. Sacrificing future picks is a small price to pay for ensuring their present doesn't collapse with Bosa's injury. Let's not understate the emotional impact of such a move. Trading for Phillips would be a declaration. It would tell the entire NFL that San Francisco refuses to let adversity derail their season. Fans, players, and coaches alike would interpret it as a bold commitment to chasing the Lombardi Trophy no matter what obstacles stand in the way. And for Miami, while it would sting to lose a talent like Phillips, the message would be about sustainability, building smart, thinking long-term, and ensuring they're not boxed into a corner by the salary cap when the time comes to keep their offensive nucleus intact. The ripple effects of this trade would be seismic. For the NFC, imagine the message it sends to rivals like the Eagles, Cowboys, and Lions. They might have thought Bosa's injury leveled the playing field, but suddenly the 49ers reload with another young stud. For the AFC, it reshapes Miami's outlook, giving them draft ammunition to chase another position of need or prepare for life after certain veterans. This isn't just a trade. It's the kind of deal that alters competitive balance across conferences. And think about the optics if this actually happens. The 49ers, already known for being one of the most aggressive front offices in football, would once again prove that sitting back isn't in their DNA. From trading for Christian McCaffrey to investing in top talent across the board, San Francisco has shown a willingness to gamble on elite players. Phillips would be the next chapter in that story, a bold, win-now addition that could keep them on track for a Super Bowl berth. Of course, there's always the element of risk. Phillips has had injury concerns in the past, and no trade is ever a guarantee. But when you weigh the risks against the stakes, the logic for San Francisco is airtight. Without Bosa, their pass rush lacks teeth. With Phillips, they regain an edge capable of changing games. It's the difference between hoping your defense survives and ensuring your defense thrives. At the end of the day, this hypothetical trade is about solving problems for both sides in a way that feels almost poetic. San Francisco needs a savior on the edge. Miami needs future flexibility. One side gets the present, the other secures the future. Both fan bases might have mixed emotions, but both organizations could justify the move in a heartbeat. The NFL is a league defined by bold decisions, and this is the kind of deal that separates contenders from pretenders. If the 49ers truly want to keep their championship dream alive in a season that could have slipped away, Jalen Phillips is the answer. And if the Dolphins want to keep their long-term vision intact without losing sight of the present, accepting the 49ers' perfect offer might just be the move that sets them up for years of sustained success. In the end, this isn't just about a trade. It's about ambition, identity, and the relentless pursuit of greatness. The 49ers refuse to let injury write their story, and the Dolphins might use this chance to write a smarter one for their future. Whether or not the deal happens, the conversation alone shows the kind of high-stakes drama that makes the NFL more than a game. It makes it a theater where every decision could define legacies. And in this theater, the idea of Jalen Phillips in red and gold feels like the kind of plot twist that could shake the entire season. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? Hold on to your helmets, folks, because the NFL rumor mill is absolutely on fire tonight. And if even half of this turns out to be true, we could be looking at one of the most jaw-dropping trade stories in recent memory. The Kansas City Chiefs, known for their strategic maneuvering and high-octane offense, are reportedly sending their young defensive star George Karlaftis to the Miami Dolphins in what sources are calling a blockbuster deal that could shake up the league's landscape. Yes, you heard that right. Karlaftis, who has been a cornerstone of the Chiefs' defensive line, is allegedly on his way to South Florida, and in return, Kansas City is apparently bringing back none other than Tyreek Hill, the speedster who left the franchise a few seasons ago to chase a new chapter in Miami. If this rumor holds water, we could be witnessing a full-circle moment that no Chiefs fan saw coming, and one that could immediately redefine both rosters for the upcoming season. The chatter started buzzing earlier this week when anonymous league sources hinted at some late-night talks between the Chiefs' front office and Dolphins executives. KARLAFTIS, the defensive end who has been showing flashes of elite talent since his rookie season, seems to be the centerpiece the Dolphins want to bolster their pass rush. Miami has been in the market for a disruptive defensive force for a while now, and the young, athletic KARLAFTIS fits the bill perfectly. He's got the size, the speed, and the tenacity that could immediately impact Miami's defensive schemes. Meanwhile, Kansas City, whose offense has missed the lightning-fast presence of TYREEK Hill since his departure, reportedly sees this as a golden opportunity to reunite with one of Patrick Mahomes' most trusted and explosive targets. Imagine the possibilities. Hill, back in the red and gold, lining up across from defenders who have almost forgotten how to deal with his elite speed. Chiefs fans are buzzing with anticipation, speculating on how this could reshape Mahomes' deep ball arsenal and potentially vault Kansas City into Super Bowl contention yet again. Rumors suggest that negotiations weren't easy. Sources claim there were multiple rounds of discussions, with both teams weighing player value, draft picks, and salary cap implications. KARLAFTIS, while still early in his career, has already shown the type of disruptive ability that makes quarterbacks think twice when stepping into the pocket. Meanwhile, TYREEK Hill, despite his explosive performance in Miami, has maintained a strong connection with Mahomes, and insiders suggest that there's a mutual desire for a reunion. The Chiefs' front office, known for their careful planning and attention to chemistry, reportedly believe that bringing Hill back could instantly transform their offense from great to historically dominant. Meanwhile, Dolphins executives are said to be equally intrigued by the potential of KARLAFTIS, seeing him as a cornerstone of a new defensive era. The trade, if finalized, would not just be about swapping players. It would represent a statement from both franchises about ambition, timing, and legacy. Social media is already aflame with speculation. Chiefs fans are dissecting every throwback highlight of Hill, replaying his jaw-dropping plays from past seasons, and debating how quickly he could regain peak form in Kansas City's system. Dolphins fans, on the other hand, are examining every sack, every quarterback hit, and every game tape of KARLAFTIS, discussing whether he's the missing piece their defense desperately needs. Some analysts are even predicting that this move could set off a domino effect across the league, prompting other teams to rethink their roster construction. Imagine the ripple. Teams that thought they had solid pass rush setups may suddenly feel the heat to act, while offensive coordinators may start drafting new game plans to counter the potential resurgence of TYREEK Hill. The sheer magnitude of this rumored trade has pundits and fans alike refreshing Twitter feeds, sports news sites, and forums every few minutes, hoping for a shred of confirmation or a leak from someone in the know. The excitement is palpable, and the speculation is relentless. If we dive into the numbers, the strategic implications become even more fascinating. TYREEK Hill, during his time with the Dolphins, has maintained an elite yards per catch average and consistently ranked among the league's fastest players. Pairing him once again with Mahomes, a quarterback whose arm can turn even the narrowest window into a touchdown, could instantly upgrade Kansas City's passing game to near uncontested status. Meanwhile, George KARLAFTIS, despite being younger and less heralded than Hill, has a set of metrics that make him an asset worth coveting. His quarterback pressures, tackles for loss, and overall disruption rate have been trending upward, suggesting that he's only scratching the surface of his potential. For Miami, integrating a player like KARLAFTIS could not only boost their defensive efficiency, but also send a message that they are ready to contend and willing to make bold moves to secure foundational talent. The balance of offense versus defense, speed versus power, and experience versus potential all comes into sharp focus with this rumor. Now, let's talk timing, because timing is everything in trades like these. The NFL offseason is a delicate dance of cap space, draft strategy, and player negotiations. Executing a move of this magnitude requires precise coordination, and insiders suggest that the Chiefs and Dolphins have been quietly aligning their plans behind closed doors for weeks. There's speculation that both teams wanted to avoid public distractions, ensuring that if the deal goes through, it would hit like a lightning bolt rather than a slow drip. For players, timing can be emotional. TYREEK Hill reportedly has strong feelings about returning to Kansas City, where his most iconic plays were made, while Karlaftis, still early in his career, faces a sudden transition to a new city, a new system, and new expectations. The human element adds an entirely new layer of intrigue to the rumor. How will Hill reintegrate with the Chiefs' locker room? And how quickly can Karlaftis adapt to Miami's defensive culture? These are questions that fans and analysts are asking nonstop, and answers could shape the narrative for the entire season. What's particularly fascinating about this rumored trade is the storyline. Sports, at its core, thrives on narrative, and this one reads like a blockbuster movie script. TYREEK Hill, the prodigal son, returning to the team that launched him into stardom, paired once more with his old quarterback, all while a promising young defensive star heads to a team hungry to prove itself. The plot writes itself. Commentators are already fantasizing about a season where Hill catches one deep ball after another, reminding everyone why he was once considered untouchable, while Karlaftis terrorizes quarterbacks in a way that forces even the league's best offenses to rethink their approach. It's a dual narrative of offense and defense, past and future, legacy and potential. The rumor alone is enough to keep fans awake at night, scrolling through highlight reels, rewatching old games, and imagining a season that could be one of the most memorable in recent NFL history. Of course, we have to remember that at this stage, it's still very much a rumor. Nothing has been officially announced, and trades of this magnitude can fall apart in the final hours due to medical evaluations, contract negotiations, or unforeseen obstacles. But the buzz is undeniable. If nothing else, the speculation is creating a storm of excitement that is exactly what the NFL offseason needs. Fans are debating, experts are theorizing, and the league's rumor mill is operating at peak capacity. Even if the deal doesn't materialize, the conversation it has sparked demonstrates the magnetic pull of star power, the enduring drama of player movement, and the unending fascination fans have with the what-ifs of football. This is the kind of story that will dominate sports podcasts, YouTube channels, and social media threads for days, perhaps even weeks, as everyone waits for the next official update. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.